Supposedly Netflix rejected Hasbro's proposal, and this was due to the terrible proposal given by the toy company. According to rumors on the internet, spread by a user named Jinsaku, Hasbro had proposed to Netflix a new Mighty Morphin series. This series is not a continuation of the universe we have known all our lives, but a remake of the Mighty Morphin. For those who don't understand this concept, I'm going to explain a bit so you can understand the mess Hasbro is creating if these rumors were real, since there is still no official word. A remake is basically creating the same thing that already existed in the past using more or less the same story, but changing the actors and some other details. This means that they would make the same episodes we saw in 1993, but with other actors. According to the rumor, the company plans to make 10 episodes using 10 well-known episodes from the original Mighty Morphin saga, but everything will be set in this era. Basically, it's going to be very similar to what they did with the special episode to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the franchise. They're even going to use a budget very similar to what they used for that time. On this part there is something a little confusing, since the special episode was a 50-minute long episode and normally Power Rangers episodes are 30 minutes long. If for the special episode they used an amount of money for a 50-minute episode, are they going to use that same budget for every episode of the new series, or are they going to split all of that budget between the 10 episodes? To explain it better, I will give you an example. So let's assume that in the special episode they used $100 as their budget. If in the new series they use that same budget for each episode, then they would have $100 for each episode, but if they used that same amount for all 10 episodes, then they would have only $10 for each episode. Despite all of this, we have to accept that regardless of how they used the budget, the amount of money they used for the special episode was very low. I know many are going to think that this budget was huge because they rebuilt a lot of set designs, but if we compare it to a big production like the 2017 movie, the reality is that the budget for the special episode was very little. What happens is that they have had us used for many years to Power Rangers production being very cheap, and when they give us a little bit more, then we think they have given us a lot. Precisely, this was one of the supposed excuses Hasbro used to cancel the reboot and start making a remake of Mighty Morphin. According to the rumor, Hasbro thinks that doing the reboot is very risky financially, and obviously the investment they have to make is going to be much bigger than what they have always invested in Power Rangers. Let's remember that Power Rangers comes from Sentai, and because they only had to film some scenes with the actors from the United States, the expense was not so big. If the reboot was going to be for a more adult audience, plus it was going to be something completely new, then the budget had to be very high. This is because for adults you can't give them cheap set designs, simple costumes, and shallow stories. This is why the new series proposed by Hasbro is also going to be aimed at a children's audience, basically the same audience Mighty Morphin was originally aimed at. Other important things they also said is that the series is going to have a new logo, new toys, and may possibly premiere in 2026. This could be a big challenge since they will be rebranding Power Rangers, and many fans also buy the action figures out of nostalgia. If the company decides to change the logo and only create toys from the new series, then we will see if the old fans were right. We have talked many times before about how the Power Rangers franchise is being sustained almost entirely by the old fans who continue to buy merchandise and continue to consume the product. This is because we all know that kids in this day and age don't watch TV anymore, and most of the Power Rangers audience right now are adults. If they change the whole image of Power Rangers and we adults don't like the new series, then it will most likely be the end of the franchise. However, if they had created a reboot geared for adults, then Power Rangers would have had a better chance of surviving. We have to face it, kids don't consume Power Rangers anymore, and while there obviously must be some kids who watch the series, most kids just watch YouTube. All this change has only been a lack of faith in the product, and although we know that business is not driven by faith, but by statistics, the reality is that it is very obvious that this is the perfect time for Power Rangers to become a franchise for adults. Another important detail they said is that the characters that are going to appear in the new series are going to be Jason, Billy, Trini, Zach, and Kimberly, but obviously the same actors that we have known all our lives are not going to appear. This is part of what a remake means, recreating the same series, but basically with other actors. This is a big deal as previously this also happened in the 2017 movie, and many complained about the actors not looking like the original actors. Honestly, to me, I don't care about the physical resemblance. I think the important thing is that they have the same personality and the same skills. For example, we should expect Jason to be a great leader, Billy to be smart, Kimberly to be very sweet, Trini to care about the environment, and Zach to be funny. These are just details that they left out in the 2017 movie, since those characters were very different from the Mighty Morphin characters, and if they want to remake the original series, then they should not forget those details. Something important that we should mention is that Tommy is possibly not going to appear, and this is something quite rare since he is the most iconic character of the whole franchise. We know that, if they want to try to remake some episodes of the first season of Mighty Morphin, we all know that in the beginning of the saga there was no Tommy. Despite this, I think that history has already taught us that Tommy Oliver is one of the most beloved characters of the whole franchise, and maybe it can be a great help to have him in the new series. You must remember that all this is only rumors and nothing is confirmed, but we must keep commenting because in the end maybe everything is true. How can this affect the future of the franchise? If all the rumors are true, then we must think that the future of Power Rangers is at risk, since remaking is a worse decision than doing a reboot. Remember that remake is basically creating the same thing that already happened in the past, just changing some details and actors. The reboot is to create something completely different using the central idea of the franchise, in this case, creating colorful superheroes and some other important details. The remake they want to do is going to be aimed for a child audience, and the reboot was going to be aimed for an adult audience. I think that's where the real problem lies, since as we have said many times, the ones holding up the Power Rangers franchise right now are adults, since kids don't watch TV anymore. If this remake goes ahead, it has a high probability of failing, and if that happens, then it's going to be very difficult to get the franchise off the ground again. If they do the reboot, this can also happen, but the reality is that the probability of failure would be much less. Write in the comments your opinion about this supposed remake. Like this video and subscribe for new Power Rangers rumors.